So hi everybody and welcome back to this C++ tutorial series for absolute beginners. This is video 78 and in this video we continue with our solution, and I shifted this if comparison where we stop down to this comment here because we try also to convert these comments to code, and this is the right place, but it's not really needed. Later we will probably delete them anyway because it's just to create the code right now, not because we really need the comments later for the code. So, but right now we need the comments. Okay, let's continue. So what we have here now to do is use this slot number and the password array and compare it with the password variable. This one is just my random solution. There are different kinds, better ones. What I'm going to do is actually now, because I know these arrays are the same length, and I know this array, for example, this person coder has the password 12345 in the same slot as the coder is. For example, coder is slot 0. His password is on slot 0. Supermint is on slot 1. His password is on slot 1. And that's why I noted here the slot number. If we found the database name, username in our database, for example, I found coder, then I found his slot name, it's 0. Then I know I have just to compare the slot name 0 from this account password database 0 with my password, because that's why it works so fine. It is just a trick to make it easy and I have not to think much. All right, let's use this one. It's very I think it's very easy, and of course I hope you found your own solution, perhaps better, perhaps worse, doesn't matter. It's very important that you find your own solution here, because you train only to use all this kind of stuff when you bring your own ideas in. That's the real reason why we do this. And let's continue. Okay, use this slot number on the password array and compare it with the password variable. But the question is still how I'm comparing this one now, because comparing, when we hear compare, it's all time a good candidate for if, but still we had a if here in a for loop, and when I see this one again, oh, perhaps I need a for loop again because this is an array, but this is questionable here because I know exactly the slot now, right? I have only noted already the exactly slot which I have to compare. So which means actually I don't need a for loop or a while loop or a loop at all, because before was it that we have to go through all elements and then compare all elements what we have here with our username. But in this case I used this trick which I said, okay, I just note the slot name, and then if I have the slot name I can go directly to the point where the slot name is, and I compared this one directly with my password, and that's it. Okay, now we skipped a whole array loop, and I will use it now, and I show you what I mean with that. So I just write if, and then I take directly this password which we say here, okay, and I say password, and I make a direct comparison equal to, and this time I copy still this array here and make a copy, all right, to this one, and in the slot name I write here, here's more s, and here I write exactly this slot of database names, and I will have only one if this one was true. And here we have something we have to think about it if I can go here. So, but let's finish this one first. So I write just here slot of database names, slot of database name. Perhaps we change this to database name because it's not one, it's just this one. And you see, if you want to change something, then you have to change it. Oops. Okay, that was the wrong place. Slot here. Oops. Yeah. Now it's right. And then here, let's continue here a little bit more. So I say if my password is the account password database, the same slot, if this is equal, which I'm doing is just by taking the slot name, I compare it now only. I jump first to the right slot, and now I compare, because this name I have already, for example, Wonder Woman I have already, and now I have just to compare this slot name. And if this is okay, then I will grant account access, right? So how I do this granting account access, I don't know. I mean, I will know it in a moment, but right now I want to do something else because we have here a problem, and that's why I skipped this work for later and write here grant access to account, and I will set this up later. So the problem what I saw here was I make here check, right? I make here a check with if found username. And if this is false, I say here something like name does not exist. And if this is the case, I don't want that this code goes on because there is anyone trying to type in wrong names or accidentally names, and we have to think this later too. What happens if the user type in accidentally in wrong name, or there is anyone trying several names? But this is another task. What we do at this point is first how we can solve this one, and later we solve the other task. And to do so, I say, okay, I want not go on here, and which means all the code which comes after this one should be aborted, or should be not work, or make it some not the flow should be interrupted at this point. So what we can do is, there are again many solutions. One solution is if found username false, you can write here again if, and then you can say if this was false, skip all this code what comes later. Don't use it, right? Let me show you. This is not the best solution probably, but this was one solution which comes right now in my mind, and why not? Why not? Just use what you have. If so what I'm going to do is actually, again, if this is the case, let me take this one here, perhaps just copy this one again. I put this one here and say if this is the case, and this one I delayed because now I want not to print out anything. I want that all the code what comes after should be not executed, right? I want that you stop. And here is a very easy solution. If this one is false, you say here do nothing, and then else do this one. Else do all the other code what you have come after this one. This is not the best solution, but you see it's a very fast solution. So what I did here is just I checked this is false, which say name does not exist. If this would be true, then this block would be executed. We know this from a if block. If it's true, this block will execute it, but there is nothing, and which means nothing will be executed. And else, if this is not, if this is true, all the code what comes next will be executed. So it is not the best elegant solution, but it is a very fast solution and it works. Let's test this. Let's test this because we are not sure if this really works. So let's say, we can't test this way. Of course, I should write here something for testing, right? So that I see that this code is really not working here. Say out, and I make it this should not printed out. And this is my test. And now I can test it. If this is printed out with a wrong input, then I made something wrong. So let's write here anything. Write this one anything. And name does not exist. This should not print it out. And I made an error. That's very interesting. So I made an error. What is the error here? Can you see it? It's a very simple error. But you should see it. I said if this one is false, right? This one will be executed, else it will disexecute it, which means all the code which comes after this if statement must be in this else statement from now on. All right, then let's see if this is true. I shift this up, I press here, and if you have these problems, like all time these formatting problems, you can make it manual. And if you have no clue like me, for example, then you can just mark this, press Ctrl K, Ctrl F, and it will be formatted for you automatically. That's also a very nice, handy, fast way to use this one. So now we test this one again because this was not working. So make all time this test and let's test the same thing again. I write here something, and what we have here, name does not exist, and indeed the code will be not executed. But what we learned is we have now to write all the code here in this scope. We're changing the scope. Till now we was in this scope. Now we will use with this solution what I showed up here, which is probably not the best, but it works. Why not? Let's write now all in this scope. And we have to be a little bit more aware of scope perhaps. All right, let's continue with this solution. If it's not working later, we still can change this one. So don't be afraid to make mistakes, just do it. And if it works not out, change it later. That's the way to go. And it works later anyhow. All right, so then we can see I have said if succeed should account info. Let me see what I have here. First, we have to say compare it with the password variable. I did this. That was a very easy solution. Actually, this one here. And then I have this one, and then access to account. And here it says if successful, show account info. So we give access account. So with other words, we will use this scope for success. Okay, that is good. And then if fail, print out wrong password. So we have to cover this one also. So we go here to fail, print out wrong password. And where is he entering actually the password? And here again, if password is not here, right? It's an access account, else, very easy. So you can see this line is now with this if statement very easy to solve. I just write an else statement, else. And because I know if this is not correct, I know directly it is false. I write std cout, and here wrong password. Yeah, wrong password. And this one. This is okay. And now if success, I have skipped this one. Let's go back to this one and write here something. If success, show account info. Okay, the account info here, this is this place here. I should show here anyhow the account info. But the problem is here. We have, what do we have? We have here some information how to what the account should contain, for example. And that's why we can't just read this line of code. We have read here a little bit more. So it says here a little bit down, give the user free changes. What I wrote here, give the user free changes, chances to enter the right username and password. Oh, this is handling for wrong input. I will skip this now because I will use this probably as a wrapper. Wrapper means like this if statement, I can use here, put all the code later in a checker. For example, I could later, let's say, I'm not sure if this is true, but let's say I need this one and put all this later again in an if statement for checks. So that's why I can skip this one, or I could make this one now too, but I want to concentrate now finishing first the code, and this one is all time possible later. Probably you should do this instantly because it's easier, but in my case I do it just later. Do it like you feel it, right? All right, let's continue. Also create a counter, and if the counter is free, then close the option to enter password and username. Yes, I will do this later. This one we can shift for later. This is no problem. And then here, I want to do this line of code. That was my main goal because I read this one, and that's why I shift this here. This is not the place where I am right now. I'm here right now. And here, to solve this one, I need some more information, and the information I get here down because these comments are not so perfect. And let's see. And here, show free selectable categories. Yes, that makes more sense now. This one, perhaps you can shift the comments here a little bit around. For example, this one should be here under this one. Show free selectable categories. Let's do shifting comments here before we go on, because that makes no sense that this one is down and this one is not here. So I select all these things here and I shift them up, and now it makes more sense. So they are together who should belong together, and later I can't do this one. That's why I said I make this later, because they are not belonging at this point. You see, making mistakes is normal, just fix it. And if this one works also not, just fix it again till it works. That's the way to program and it will work one day. All right, let's continue. If success, show account info. Good. Show free selectable categories. And here, this one is very free defined. Free defined means here in this case, you can do whatever you think, but it should be just free selectable categories. So create free categories. Yeah. The selectable thing we will create, but first we need free categories. And actually I have even defined here the categories. That's interesting. Yeah, the steps are actually very easy. I made my life very easy here. I just said database array, and then my books, my games, my movies. I hope you found here a better solution, because this one is the, let's say, one of the easiest solution ever. What I did here is just creating the same thing like here, with 3 more categories, with the names, 3 more arrays with the names. You can see it here. My favorite books, my favorite games. So that was not very creative, but at start we are happy. We just need it. And what I'm doing now, I have to be a little bit careful, because the first thing is I have to go on from here. The reason for that is my checker is here, and then I have to continue from this line of code. That's very important. So have to continue from here. Let's write here just a mark that we know that we should go on from here. Also have to go on from here. That's very important. So not that you accidentally go outside of the scope. And the next thing is we have to create now variables again, this databases, which is very easy. I copy this one here and I create this databases. Let's create this databases here on top again, arrays, and then write some in. And because I used here again, probably the easiest, my favorite books. Yeah, I write only 2. Let's write here just 2 books, or 3. Let's make 3. because this one is not the best solution, but yeah, let's do it just because I hope you found something better than me. Just I was probably just lazy, and I've written my favorite books. Let's write here coder book, and let's write here hacker book, and let's write here style book. I don't know, these are also not very creative names. I just throw in something, and of course you can do the same too, and now with my favorite games and so on. All right, let's do the same. And what we can do here is of course just copy this line. Is the copy again, paste it, change the name and change the books here and so on, and we have it. So what we have it, my favorite games. I copy this one, I pasted this one, and last one, let's do this one too. We have this one. I hope you made something better than me here, because this one is really lazy work, not to type in much. And yeah, to have some databases here to show. And that what we did here is actually just that we will show on our account when we selected it. And let's games here, game Tron, game anything, game Superman, and game Superwoman. All right, and now my favorite movies, let's call it Superman and Superwoman, because I'm not very creative at this time. A woman, and the last game is, let's say, what movie is there out? Coder movie. Yeah, you see, I'm really not that creative right now, but I hope you are more creative than me and made something really cool here, which you can really be proud to show on your account, something like that. All right, that's that. And we finished actually this kind of categories, and we are at the last line here, and it says here, I reused the selection menu from another exercise. And at this point, I think I stopped the video here, and because this one is very funny, this line here, we will just reuse code. And to do this, I will do this in the next video. And like all time, if you have any questions or any complaints, like all time, write it in the comments. And I wish you, of course, all time good luck. And I hope that you made something more creative than me in a better way, perhaps in a more complex way, because if you make something more complex, you train a little bit more. The only really important thing is that you make many mistakes, because then you try to correct them and try to understand them. No, that was a joke. Try to solve all your mistakes, because mistakes mean just make it, and if you can solve them, then all is good, then they are not really mistakes. That said, good luck and bye.